Welcome back. Colonel Ben Danner has been to 36 nations with the U.S. military, but he had never encountered anything like what he saw 10 years ago today on Fort Hood.
I sat down with the now retired colonel, who has now found a new career as a middle school teacher in Jarrell, to get his thoughts on what he experienced 10 years ago today.
It was actually sort of a lazy Thursday as far as things go on Fort Hood, and I had been assigned there a little over a year. General Cohn had been in command 2 months, but it had really only been on Fort Hood about 2 weeks.
Thursdays were normally family days, and at 3 o'clock that was going to be the case again. But all of that changed shortly after lunchtime for Colonel Danner.
Everybody was getting off at 3. About 1:30, I got a call on my cell phone from one of the folks who works for me, who was near the Soldier Readiness Center, and said, "We have an active shooter here."
Life would never be the same again at Fort Hood. 43 people were injured that day. 13 lost their lives, as you know. General Robert Cohn, Danner, and his whole team knew that the next hours, days, and months were going to be incredibly stressful, but it's what their training had prepared them for.
Who's answering the phone when the governor calls? Who's answering the phone when the congressman calls? And of course, I mean, we have people who are answering phones when the media calls. And the response was quite overwhelming. By the next morning, we had over 270 media outlets, 571 media personnel, and 40 satellite trucks right outside the gate.
And it's hard to believe looking back on it, but within 2 months, General Cohn took the Corps headquarters to Iraq. Sadly, General Cohn died of cancer at the age of 59 in 2016.
Yeah, so you mentioned the generals that have come and gone. There have been a string of absolutely great ones. And interestingly, you know, the generals, General Cohn deployed the Corps headquarters, came back and hung around a little bit and then changed command. So there were other generals that had to deal with the aftermath of this, which lasted, you know, for years, literally, and it still plays a part today. So kudos to all those generals, and kudos as well to General Cohn, who had an untimely death a couple years ago, and God bless him. What a great man.